What if everything you've saved for retirement could vanish in one storm? Most people never see the danger until it's too late. The headlines scream about crashes, inflation, and broken systems. But beneath the noise, a quiet revolution is taking shape. It's not hype. It's about survival, dignity, and freedom. And the truth is, your future might depend on a decision you make today. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover why thousands of Americans are rethinking their retirement strategy, and why ignoring this shift could cost more than money. It could cost your peace of mind. If your goal is to retire without fear, then don't click away. Every second of this story matters. Part 1. When the markets shake, most people freeze. They look at their accounts, watch the numbers fall, and whisper to themselves, maybe it will recover. But deep down, they know the old system was never built to protect them. It was built to serve itself. That's why more and more Americans are searching for something different, something that won't be swallowed by the next crisis. Imagine this: a man at 65, staring at the same retirement plan he trusted for decades. Suddenly, inflation eats away at his savings, interest rates shift, and the safety net he thought he had begins to unravel. His fear is not losing money in a week. His fear is losing the life he planned for the next 20 years. This is where a new path begins. It's not about chasing headlines or gambling on quick gains. It's about building a foundation strong enough to withstand storms. The question isn't, will the market crash again? The question is, when it does, will you be ready? And that readiness is what separates those who watch their future slip away from those who quietly, steadily build the freedom they deserve. Part 2. Most retirement accounts were designed in a world that no longer exists. They promised safety, but in reality, they were tied to the same fragile system that creates the crashes we fear. Think about it. Pensions collapsed, 401ks shrank in recessions, and millions watched decades of work vanish overnight. The truth is harsh. Traditional plans often fail when families need them most. Banks and institutions will never admit it, but their loyalty isn't to your future. It's to their profit. Fees, penalties, and hidden rules quietly eat away at savings year after year. And while the brochures show smiling couples on the beach, the reality for many retirees is anxiety, compromise, and disappointment. This isn't about scaring you. It's about clarity. If the old system was enough, you wouldn't feel that knot in your stomach every time headlines talk about inflation or market crashes. Deep down, you know, what worked yesterday won't protect tomorrow. The first step is awareness. Awareness that the traditional path has cracks too deep to ignore. Awareness that waiting for rescue from the same institutions that caused the problem is not a plan, it's a gamble. And that awareness is what opens the door to new solutions. Solutions built for the storms ahead, not the calm behind. Part 3. In moments of doubt, a new idea often feels dangerous. Digital assets were once dismissed as speculation, a playground for risk-takers. But today, the story has shifted. Behind the noise, a growing number of long-term investors are exploring how these tools can strengthen, not replace, their retirement plans. The key isn't hype, it's structure. Just as a home needs a solid foundation, a retirement strategy needs assets that can weather storms. And here's the truth. Digital assets, when positioned carefully, can serve as that foundation. Not by promising overnight riches, but by offering diversification, flexibility, and a hedge against the very system that has failed too many times. Picture a man in his 50s, tired of watching inflation eat away at his savings. Instead of putting everything into one basket, he allocates a portion into a new vehicle, something built to outlast political shifts, market cycles, and hidden fees. He's not gambling, he's planning. And in that decision, he discovers something rare: peace of mind. Because the goal is not to abandon the old world entirely, but to add a layer of resilience. To create a retirement plan that doesn't collapse with the next headline, but instead endures, quietly, steadily, with time on its side. Part 4. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, James, a 62-year-old teacher from Ohio, faced the same fear that many of us feel. His pension looked weaker every year, the cost of living climbed, and the dream of retiring with dignity seemed to drift further away. He didn't want to gamble, but he also refused to sit back and watch decades of work crumble. So James made a choice. Instead of relying entirely on the old system, he restructured his savings. He added a new layer to his retirement plan: assets that were outside the reach of endless printing, hidden fees, and political games. He didn't put everything in one place. He diversified carefully, using tools that gave him both growth and protection. At first, his friends laughed. They said he was chasing trends. But while they stayed frozen in fear, James built resilience. And today, while markets rise and fall, he sleeps peacefully. His plan is not perfect, but it is strong. The lesson is simple. Freedom doesn't come from waiting for someone else to save you. It comes from taking responsibility, choosing wisely, and acting before it's too late. Part 5. Every market tells the same story. Cycles. Boom, bust, recover, repeat. The experts who've studied these patterns for decades will all agree. No crash is permanent, and no rally lasts forever. What separates those who thrive from those who suffer is not luck, but preparation. Think of the voices on Wall Street. The wisest ones never promise that storms won't come. Instead, they remind us to prepare before the clouds appear. They speak about discipline, balance, and building plans that can survive shocks. Because panic is born when people have no plan. Confidence is born when a plan is already in place. Imagine standing on a beach as the tide pulls back. To the untrained eye, it looks calm. To the seasoned observer, it's the warning of a wave about to hit. Retirement is no different. Waiting until the wave crashes is too late. You must prepare while the tide is still receding. The truth is, you don't need to predict the future. You need to accept that cycles will come, and then build a strategy that keeps you steady no matter how high or low the tide goes. Preparation is not fear, it is freedom. Part 6. History leaves us with scars and lessons. In every downturn, the same pattern emerges. People wait, hoping for the perfect moment. They tell themselves, "I'll act when things calm down." But by the time the calm returns, the opportunity has already passed. Think back to the financial crisis of 2008. Millions watched their retirement savings collapse in months. Some waited for reassurance from banks or government leaders, and by the time they acted, their accounts had already been drained. Contrast that with those who adjusted early, who shifted strategies, diversified, and prepared. They didn't escape loss entirely, but they preserved enough to recover quickly and rebuild. The truth is simple. Hesitation costs more than action. Waiting for a guarantee is like waiting for a storm to ask permission before it hits. Markets don't send invitations. They send shocks. This doesn't mean rushing blindly. It means having the courage to step forward before fear traps you. It means taking small, deliberate steps that compound over time. Because in retirement, the greatest regret is not making a wrong choice. It's making no choice at all. And the lesson is clear. The cost of delay is greater than the cost of discipline. Part 7. Most investors see the market like a stormy sky. Dark clouds, sudden lightning, endless fear. They focus on the next day, the next headline, the next drop. But retirement isn't measured in days. It's measured in decades. And that difference changes everything. Short-term risk is loud. It screams with every red candle, every news alert, every talking head on TV. But long-term vision is quiet. It whispers through steady contributions, compound growth, and the calm of knowing your plan is built for years, not hours. Consider two people. One sells everything the moment fear rises, locking in losses. The other holds steady, trusting the structure they've built. 10 years later, their paths are unrecognizable. One filled with regret, the other with confidence. The lesson is not to ignore risk, but to put it in perspective. Retirement security is not about avoiding every storm, but about sailing through storms without sinking. That requires vision, long-term vision strong enough to drown out the noise of short-term fear. In the end, what feels like risk today may look small tomorrow, and what feels like patience today may look like wisdom when the future finally arrives. Part 8. Fear thrives in imbalance. When every dollar rests on a single pillar, even the smallest shake feels like an earthquake. But when your foundation is spread across steady ground, fear loses its power. Balance is not just a financial principle, it is a psychological shield. Think of a retiree who holds only one type of investment. Every news headline feels like a direct attack on his future. He checks his account daily, his sleep broken by worry. Now imagine another retiree who built balance, diversifying across traditional assets and new digital tools. The market still moves, storms still arrive, but his nights are calm because no single blow can collapse his plan. Balanced allocation is not about chasing every opportunity. It's about choosing with intention, blending growth with stability, and creating a safety net woven from many threads. This balance doesn't remove risk, but it makes risk manageable. And most importantly, balance restores control. It shifts the focus from reacting to every market swing to living with steady confidence. In retirement, that confidence is priceless because it allows you to enjoy the life you worked so hard to build. Part 9. Not long ago, Linda, a 58-year-old nurse from Texas, felt trapped. She had worked double shifts for decades, saved faithfully, but every time the economy stumbled, her retirement hopes seemed to slip further away. Fear followed her everywhere. Fear of not having enough, fear of losing control, fear of becoming a burden. One evening, after yet another sleepless night, she made a choice. Instead of waiting for permission from headlines or institutions, she restructured her plan. She didn't bet everything. She shifted with care, balancing traditional savings with new strategies that gave her more flexibility and protection. The change wasn't dramatic at first, but what grew week after week was her confidence. She no longer stared at the news with panic. She stopped refreshing her accounts every hour, and slowly, freedom replaced fear. Today, Linda doesn't claim to have found the perfect plan. What she found was something better: peace of mind. The ability to look toward retirement not with dread, but with dignity. And her story proves a simple truth. Freedom isn't given. It's built, step by step, by those willing to act when others stand still. Part 10. Every journey has a turning point, and for retirement, that moment is now. The headlines will continue to shout about crashes, inflation, and uncertainty. The system will continue to offer empty promises while quietly draining the savings of those who wait. But you are not powerless. You have a choice. The difference between regret and relief is action. Regret belongs to those who ignore the warning signs, who hope the old ways will suddenly protect them. Relief belongs to those who decide today to prepare differently, to build a plan designed to endure, not just in good times, but in storms. What matters most is not predicting every market swing, but shaping a foundation that lasts longer than any cycle. Because retirement is not a number, it is a state of freedom, the ability to live without fear, to enjoy what you've built, and to pass on a legacy stronger than yourself. The truth is simple. Your future won't be written by luck or chance. It will be written by the steps you take now. And those steps, though small, carry the power to change everything. This channel does not give financial advice. Everything you hear is for education, inspiration, and discussion only. Always do your own research and make the decisions that fit your life. If today's story gave you something to think about, hit like so more people can find it. Leave a comment with your thoughts. We want to hear your voice. Share this video with someone who's planning for retirement so they don't walk the path alone. And don't forget to subscribe to XRP Today USA to join us for tomorrow's episode. Here, it's not about hype or promises. It's about clarity, community, and building peace of mind together.